And you're going to see a list of a bunch of different pages that are imported because of the demo content and the starter templates. So we can remove a lot of these after we are done customizing our website. But right here, you should see one of the pages and it should have this tag right here saying front page. And that's your home page. So ours is the classic shop, and we can click on the edit button and it's going to have this block visitor and you should see this right here. So we can just kind of X out of this. We don't really need it. And what I want to do is I want to change the name of the home page to just say home. So I'm going to do that. And then in the page attributes, I want to get rid of the parent. So I'm going to click on the X right here and I'm going to click out of this. And then for the order, I'm going to click on the down arrow to change it to 0. Once I do that, you can see that the template is the page full width option. So keep that in mind. If you do make a new page, then it's likely that you want to select the page full width option. Once we have these things changed, we can click on the update button just to save those updates. And now we want to turn on the Flatsome Page Builder to customize the online store homepage. So click on the button that says Edit with the UX Builder at the top. So this is the Flatsome Page Builder, and what you can see is you have all your different sections right here on the left hand side. So we have a slider right here, and then we have a row right here and a title section and so forth. And what I'm going to do is show you what sections we add and what we customize and what we remove. And we're going to make this very, very easy so that we can get our e-commerce website up and running. And just know that you can add whatever you want. So you don't have to follow along and create the same exact website, but I'm going to show you how you can get your website up and running, make it your own, and really just build out the online store that you saw in the demo. On the left-hand side or the right-hand side over here, you can see what the e-commerce website looks like on different devices. And if you have any animations, then you can push this button and it'll show them. And over here, you can click on the update button to save your changes, and you can also hide this sidebar. Okay, so again, we're going to customize a lot of this page, and then we'll show you how to create the about page, the contact page, products, and all that stuff. So the first thing that we're going to do is we want to change the background image for this section, and we don't need all these sliders. There's 4 different sliders. You can see that you can expand this and you can expand it again and again to see all the different sections within this section. So what I want to do is I'm going to change the arrows to something else really quickly. So to do that, I'm going to click into the slider options, so this little wheel, and click on options. And then I want to come down to the navigation section, and I want to just choose the simple option for these arrows. And then if you want to turn off the auto slider for maybe 6 seconds or change the number of seconds, you can do that over here. Otherwise, it's going to slide on its own as it goes past 6 seconds to the next slider. I'm going to click apply right here. And again, you can click on update whenever you want just to save your changes. And we have our banners right here. So if I click on banner 1, this is what it looks like. And then banner 2 looks like this. And then these other ones. So what I want to do is I'm going to remove this last banner because I don't want the text box on this side. So I'm going to click into banner 4 right here and click on delete. And then for these two, I can choose whichever banner I want. So you can see that we have our 4 banners right here, and I can click into the first one and you can see that this is the layout. And then this is what the second one looks like, the third and the fourth. So I'm going to remove number 2 and 3 just because I want to keep the text like this. But it's really up to you, and you can always add some additional banners if you want. Just click on to add slider, and then you can choose a new banner and then choose the type that you want. So maybe you want this type of layout, and then click apply, and then it's going to get added right here. So let me just remove that one, and I'll also remove this one right here, banner 2. So I'm going to click into the wheel and click on delete, and then same with this next one. And so I'm going to have 2 banners right here, just this one and this one. Okay. So to change the background image for the first banner, we can double click in here, or we can always click on the options right here. And then for the background image, I can remove this, and then you can add a color if you wanted to, but I want to add a background image. So I'm going to click on select media and then just choose the image that I want. So I'll take this one right here and I'll click on use image, and you'll see it show up, and we can always change the overlay if we wanted to have it darker or lighter or anything like that. So I'm going to actually just paste in the color code and then make it darker and lighter with the opacity. So what I'm going to do is just paste in the color code right here, and it's this reddish color, same as the top bar, and then I just change the opacity over here. So I'm going to click choose there, and it gives me this little red tint, and I kind of like that. So this is the background image, and what we can do now that we have this, and you can change the height if you wanted to. So you can drag this around with the mouse. You can click on this and then drag it up and down to change, or you can type in the PX or just the layout option that you want. So I'll do 600 right here, and I can always undo this over here or redo this also. So I'm going to click apply right here. And one other thing that I should note is you can always change the centering of this image to wherever you want to place it also. So I can do something like bring it up or down. So we'll do something like that. And what I want to do now that we have our banner image is I can come in here and I have my text box. You can see that we have a divider right here, another text box, and then some buttons. So if you wanted to change the first text that you see right here, you can double click into it, and then you can change your text, and you have all your formatting options and buttons here. Or you can leave it if you want. And then you also have a divider right here that you can change the height and the width of. Again, just click on the mouse and then you can drag it. You can see that it gets wider or shorter. So I'll undo that. And I want to come into the main text box right here. So I can come in here also and click on options, and then I can just change the text to what I want it to say. So if I wanted to change this, I could, and I can leave it as is also. So you can modify the text if you want to, and then over here you can change the text color if you want also. And I can do this for all of the other text boxes too. So I can come into this one and change the color. And then if I want to have the buttons here, I can keep them all, or I can delete some of them. So I'll delete 2 of them, and I'll click on update here. And to modify these buttons, we can double click into each of these, and then we have our first one right here. So I can type in handbags, and then if I wanted to add the URL or the link, then you can do it down here in this section. So you can type in something maybe for the shop page if you wanted to. So it would be my website. I can type in https:// and then the domain name .com/shop. And if I do that, it's going to link to the shop page. So I'm going to just click on apply right here. And then for my other button, I can just do something like shop all. And I won't link this one, but just in case, if you have a placeholder like this asterisk or this pound sign, then it's going to be an active link that just doesn't go anywhere. So just keep that in mind. And if I wanted to change the colors for these, I can change it to the primary color. And then you can also change the style here and the size of these buttons. So you can see that you can change that. So I think I'll change both of these buttons to the primary color instead of white. And that's what I would do for the demo website. So I'm going to click apply there and click update. And I want to modify the second banner now. So we did the first one and we have the second one again. So I can click into it and you can see that we have to add our background image. So I can double click in here and again, just remove this and click to add my new background image. So I can click in here. So in the media library, I want to select my second image, and you can use any image that you want. So it doesn't really matter which one you use for the demo. Again, I just want you guys to make sure that you learn how to use the Flat Sum Page Builder to create your own e-commerce website. So we have our background image here. And again, you can drag this around if you wanted to center it however you want. And again, if you want to change the overlay, you can also do that. So what you can do is come in here, and I'm going to paste in that color code again, or I can actually just click on the color right here and then come in here and just change the opacity to whatever I think is going to be best for my website. So I'll just do something a little bit like that. And once we have that, we can change our text again. So we can just double click in here, and then you can type in whatever text you want. So you can see I pasted in some text from the demo e-commerce website, and you can do the same. So if you want, you can pause the video and just know that you can format the text however you want with all these buttons. And you do have some additional buttons here to uppercase or lowercase stuff and everything else. So you can click OK once you're ready. And again, you can format the text also. So if you wanted to change the text color to black, then you can do that. It's really up to you. I think I'm going to keep it white for this section, but it doesn't really matter since this is just a demo online store. But sometimes I actually think about some of the design features because I want to make sure it looks good also, even for the video. So once we have this section, and again, you have the button here for the second banner. So if we open up the expansion for this text box, you can see we have the button here, and we can double click into it to edit the text. So we can always say browse bags instead if we wanted to, or handbags. And again, you can change the formatting for the letter case and also the colors here. If you wanted to go with white instead, then you can do something like that. It's really up to you. And then you can also change the icon if you wanted to add one. And then you have your link right here, which I'll put in a number sign so that it's an active link, but it won't go anywhere. So you want to make sure that you do update that. And once we have this, we can click apply right there and click on update. And now we have our next section. So I'm going through this just to kind of go through everything that we are creating. If you don't even have a slider section and you just have one image, you can actually delete the slider or the banner section and just add that banner also. So right here for the row section, before I add a row, I'm going to add some additional gap over here, some spacing. So if you want to do that, if you want to add a new element, you can click on the add element button at the bottom, and then you can come down here and you should see the gap. And you can add any of these options to any part of your website, and you can always click and drag it. So something very simple right here is a gap, and you can see that you have 30px. So we'll leave that as a default for now. And I want to click and drag this up right above the row right here. And you can see that the spacing should increase a little bit. So if I double click into this and we change this to maybe 50, let's see how much spacing there is when we do this. You can see that it adjusts the spacing, so there's a little bit more right there. And I kind of like that. So I'm going to do that. And again, if you wanted to add anything else, you can always click on the plus button here to add something right below it. So another module section, maybe a row, a slider, page header, whatever you want. You can just click on the plus button, and you can always just click at the bottom and drag it up. So for this section right here, this is a row section, and we have 3 columns. What we can do is, just like the demo website, we can come in here and we can add our background images, and then these can be buttons that we can link to different pages. So I'm going to go into each one of these and click into it, and I'm going to remove this image, and then I'm going to click to add a new image. So click on select media, and then just choose the image that I want to use. So maybe I'll select this one right here and click on use right there. And then for the overlay, I'm going to choose that red color and then change the opacity to just something that looks good for my website. So we'll do something a little bit lighter, just like that. And once you're happy with the opacity or whatever color you choose, you can click on the choose button right there. And what we can do with the banner is we can link this to another section or page. So right now it's linked to the blog page. If you want to type in your own URL, then you can type that in here, or you can just type in the page that you want to link it to. And if you want to change the text, you can click on it and then click on the text editor to modify the text right here. And there's also a little divider here. So if you want to change this, you can, and you can also just remove this stuff by clicking on the delete button. So we're going to do the background images for these other 2, and we'll leave the text as is. But again, you can click in here and just click on change media if you don't want to remove it, but it doesn't really matter which step you take. And then we can select our image right here. And again, for the opacity, I'll go to the overlay and I'll choose the red color, and then I'll come in here, and then this is the opacity line right here. So if I want to just make it a lot lighter, I can do it like this. And then again, you can change the text if you wanted to. And then we can do this last one, and I'll link this to the about page. So you can see in the link, it's already linked to the about page, or the about page that we're going to create. So I'll just put that in right there because we are going to create an about page. And in this section, I'll add the background image. So I'll just select this image right here and click on use, and you can center it if you want to change it. And then over here, I'll just change the color just to keep this red color that I like for this website. Okay. And that's all we have to do for this section. And I can collapse these so we can see what we're working with. And we have our featured products here. So you can see that it's missing the product section, and we're going to add that as we create our products. So I'm going to remove the section because we have our product section down here. So what I can do is right here where we have the title, I'm going to click into the wheel and delete this. And if it expands this, we can just collapse it again. And I'll also remove the product section right here. And now you can see that we have this product section and then a category section and then the rest of our website down here. So for the title right here, I'm going to change this to say featured products. And I want to make sure I spell that correctly. So it says featured products right there. And we can change the type of title if we wanted to. So you can see that you have different options, whatever you want to put. So I'm going to keep it with the center option. And if I want to add some spacing, which I probably want to do, I'm going to add some spacing up here. So in between right there, I'm going to come back into the add elements and click on the gap again. And we'll keep it at 30 for now. And I'm going to scroll up so I can actually see it. When I drag this up into between the row and the featured product title, you can see that it adds some space right there. And for the product section right here, what we can do is we can modify the settings right now, and we can go and create our products after this page. So what we can do is double click into the products so that we can see the settings right here. And what you can do is you can change the layout option if you wanted to. So we can do something like a row if we wanted, but we can also keep it a slider if you want. I'm going to change it to a row right here, and I can keep it with 4 columns. But what I want to do, at least for my website, is I just want 1 row. So if you want to keep it at 8 or maybe even have more, or maybe 3 per row, then you can do 3 columns. I'm going to change the number of posts to 4. So you can see that it updates and we only have 4 items here. And down here for the filters, if you are only showing featured products, if you have special products that you want to showcase here, you can select the featured product option. What I'm going to do is just show some of the latest products on this section. So I'm going to keep it just like this. But again, you can filter your post however you want. And I'm going to click apply right here. And now we can come down. And again, we're going to update this section as we create our products. So you'll see it look a little different in just a little bit after we finish off this section. So we can come down now to the category section. And I just want to change this to our category. So I'm going to just change it just like that and keep the style how you see it right here. And I'll click apply down here. And then for the product categories, we can come in here and I can double click into it. And again, it's up to you if you want to keep it as a slider. I'm just going to change it to a row right here. And I want to have only 4 categories. So I'm just going to type in 4. Maybe if I had more and I wanted to populate all of them, but I'm just going to have 4. So again, it's really up to you how many you want to show up in this section. And again, this is also going to update once we create our products and we create our own product category section. So what we might want to do is add some spacing in between these sections. But for now, it looks pretty good. So we're going to just keep it, and we can always modify that later. So let's come down to this section. And what you're going to notice over here is that we have these icon boxes, but we don't have icons. And you can go back to the Logo Maker website and create an icon. And I'll show you how to do that really quickly, because you can put a border around an icon and everything. So again, if you want to go back to the Logo Maker website, there is a link in the video description and it'll open up a new tab. So back on the Logo Maker website, I'm going to go back to start a new design, and this is going to be really quick just to show you how to make some icons, because we do have some in the video demo content. So what you can do is, if you want, you can just create a shape. So I can make a ring just like this, and I can make it bolder or thicker if I wanted to. And then I can just make it black and whatever you want to do. So I can do a phone right here, and I'm going to search for this, and I can just take one of these. And again, this is just an example, and I can drag this to make it smaller and kind of fit it inside this ring right here. And then once you do that, you can just download it again. So you can click on the disk, and then click on the download button down here and put in your email address and click on send. And then what you can do is upload the icons over here. So what I'm going to do is just use the demo content, and I'm going to show you how you can format this. So if we click into the icon box, what we can do is we can remove this, and I can add a new image. And you can see that I have my icons over here. So I can select one of these and just click on use image, and you'll see that it shows up, and it shows up a little bit weird. So what I want to do is first I'm going to come down to the border section where it says icon border, and I'm going to change this to 0. So that gets rid of the gray border that you see. And then we can change the width to make it maybe like 54 or 50 something. So I'll do 54 right here, and you can always make it larger if you want. And that's all you have to do to get your icon to show up, and you can link it if you wanted to. And I can customize the text. I can just click into these boxes, and then I can do the same with this icon box right here. Again, I can remove this and click on use media and select one of these images. So we can just select whichever one we want. So I'll just use the team one right there, and we can change the width to 54 to keep it consistent. And then right here, I'll change the icon border to 0. And once again, you can see that it shows up just like that. So you can format this. You can pause the video if you want and use the logo maker to really create your own icons if that's more helpful. But again, this is just a demo, and using the demo content, you're able to just put these in for now. So I'll do it one more time. And I have all of these as the same size. So when I do go to logo maker to create these, I keep the size of the circular image the same. So that's why all of these can just be the same size. Okay, so I'm going to click apply right here and click on update. And if necessary, I'll update the text over here, but we don't have to go through that together. And what I'm going to do is just move down to this next section right here. And I think I'm going to change this. So right now it is a testimonial section, and you can see that we have a gap in between, and then we have the slider section. What I'm going to do instead is I'm going to remove the slider because you can see it has these banners right here. I'm actually going to drag this banner out and then remove the slider so that it's just a breakup for this page, or maybe even just a call to action or whatever you want to call this. And what I want to do is come down to the banner section, and I'm going to open this up, and you can see that we have a testimonial on here. I'm going to drag that testimonial out, or that text box, and delete that. And now I just have this text right here. So first I'm going to change the background image for this banner. So I'll double click in here, and then I'll remove this image and just click to add a new image. Library, I'm going to select this image right here, and you can use any one of these, and I'm going to just change the centering to maybe something like this, and then I can add that red overlay again and just change the transparency. And you can use whatever colors that you want, or maybe not even use an overlay. It's always up to you. And I'll click choose right there. And then for the text right here, I'm going to double click in here. And what I can do in here is I can change the font size. So I'll do something like 150%, or maybe something a little bit less than that. That's a pretty big amount. And then I can click OK right here, and I can center all of this. And we can change our text if we wanted to, or we can just change the size to something larger or smaller. It's really up to you. And then if you want to change the font style, you can do that also. So maybe I'll do something like 150% with the alternative font. I kind of jumped around here in this section, so I do apologize if it was a little confusing, but I'm going to click OK right here. You can modify the text however you want, and you can also center this and change the font colors if you wanted to also. So I'm going to click choose right there, click apply to update that. And now we have our section, which kind of just gives a little break in our homepage. So I like that. And then we have this blog section right here. And we don't need to do too much here. I'm going to leave the title the same, and then I'm going to remove these blog posts and create some additional ones. But we can come into the blog post section just to see that there are 4 columns, and it has an animation here. So a lot of your different sections will allow you to have an animation to let things flow in. So we can do something like fade up, and you can see if I push the play button here that the animations just flow up like that. Or if you want it to fade in from the left, then you can select that option, and then you can see that they flow in like this. So we're going to keep this as is, and you can see that it just allows for 4 blog posts, and they're by the most recent. So I'm going to just keep this for now and click on update, and we have our footer already selected, and we can update the header section later. And I don't think we have to add any more spacing to our website, but if we do, we can always add some gap wherever we want. And you can see what it looks like on these different devices. So we can always just click into these, and you can see that everything looks pretty great. So what I want to do now, we have our homepage set up. I want to go and show you how to create products so that we can populate this section and also the category section. So I'm going to click on update here, and I'm going to close out of this because now we know how to use the page builder for the Flotsam theme, and we're going to be able to create the about page and the contact page very, very easily. But same with the products, it's going to be really easy also. So let's click on the W right here, go back to the WordPress dashboard, and let's go and create some products really quickly. Hover over products right here and go ahead and click on add new.